You know that moment when someone says one thing and your whole mood just collapses?
Like you were fine, you were normal, you were basically a functional human being. And then somebody hits you with some little comment, a joke, a tone, a look, and suddenly you're in your head for the next 6 hours running a full movie called Things I Should Have Said. Look, most people don't realize this, but that's not an anger problem. That's a control problem. Because in that moment, you didn't just get annoyed. You handed somebody the keys to your nervous system. And the worst part is, they usually don't even deserve it. It's Chad from accounting. It's your uncle who says disrespectful stuff and then hides behind, "I'm joking." It's some random person online with a profile picture of a cartoon frog. And somehow, you're the one losing sleep. Stop paying the tax. Be honest. How many times have you stood up for yourself and then later thought, yeah, I could have handled that like a normal adult? Exactly. So here's the thing. The goal isn't to become some emotionless monk who floats through life like nothing matters. The goal is way simpler. You just stop paying the tax. Because every time you react instantly, you pay a 10-second tax that turns into a 2-hour bill. You pay with regret. You pay with stress. You pay with that embarrassing replay where you're in the shower arguing with an imaginary person who isn't even there. And you know what's funny? The person who triggered you? They're fine. They're eating. They're laughing. They're living their life. Meanwhile, you're sitting there possessed writing a 12-page mental essay titled, Why I'm Right. Reacting versus responding. So let's fix that. Not with 10 chapters, not with a whole philosophy degree, just 3 moves. And if you actually use them, you'll notice something weird. People stop being able to get to you, not because they got nicer, because you stopped giving them the reward. Now, before you roll your eyes, I'm not saying never respond. I'm saying stop reacting. There's a difference. Reacting is automatic. It's messy. It's emotional. Responding is deliberate. It's clean. It's you choosing. And the only reason most people can't do that is because they don't realize there's a tiny window where you can grab your control back. It's short. It's awkward. It feels like swallowing your pride. But it works. And it starts with the first move. You don't react for 10 seconds. Move 1. The 10-second pause. That's it. That's the whole cheat code. Because 10 seconds is long enough for your brain to stop acting like you're being chased by a bear, but short enough that you don't look like you're buffering in real life. This sounds dumb, but the difference between calm and cringe is usually 10 seconds. Somebody says something disrespectful in a meeting. Your body wants to immediately do something. Defend, attack, explain, joke, laugh, anything. And that's exactly why you lose. Because whoever can provoke you can control you. If I can make you emotional on command, I basically own you for the next few minutes. So the first move is simple. You pause. You don't talk. You don't type. You don't send the text. You don't hit enter. You don't just quickly reply to prove your point. You just wait 10 seconds. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable the first few times, because most people treat silence like weakness. But silence isn't weakness. Silence is you refusing to play their game. Think about it. The people who try to trigger you are counting on momentum. They throw the jab and they want you to swing back instantly. Because if you swing back instantly, you're not thinking, you're performing, you're giving them the entertainment. So you pause. Take a breath like a normal person. Look away for a second. Sip water. Shift in your chair. Make your hands busy. Do anything that buys time. Because once you buy time, you buy control. Why the pause works. And here's the part most people don't expect. There's a reason 10 seconds works even if you still feel angry. Your body reacts first. Your brain catches up second. That first surge you feel, that heat in your face, the tight chest, the say something right now feeling, that's just your system dumping stress chemicals. It's your internal smoke alarm going off because it smelled toast. And most of us respond by making more toast. We replay the comment. We build a story. We rehearse a comeback. We imagine the argument. We scroll back up and read it again like it's going to change. That's why you stay mad for hours. Not because the trigger was powerful, because you kept feeding it. This is why you can watch two people hear the same insult and have totally different reactions. One person gets hijacked, the other person just doesn't. Same words, same situation, different relationship with the 10 seconds. Move 2. Label the feeling. Now, here's where it gets even more useful. After you pause, you do the second move. You label what's actually happening, not in a dramatic way, not like you're writing poetry. Just tell the truth. Because half the time, you're not even angry. You're embarrassed, or you feel stupid, or you feel disrespected, or you feel like you're about to look weak in front of everyone. Anger is usually the cover emotion. It's the loud friend who shows up to protect the quiet feeling you don't want to admit. It's way easier to be angry than to say, "That actually hurt." It's way easier to act tough than to admit, "I feel small right now." So in those 10 seconds, you ask yourself one question. What am I actually feeling under this? And if you can't answer that, ask an even simpler one. What am I trying to protect? Your ego? Your reputation? Your sense of control? Your pride? Because once you can name what's underneath, the situation gets smaller. It stops being this giant emotional event. It becomes information. For example, your coworker makes a sarcastic comment and you feel that surge. If you label it honestly, you might realize, I'm not mad because of the comment. I'm mad because I feel disrespected in front of people. That changes everything. Or your partner says something that hits a nerve and you snap. If you label it, you might realize, I feel ignored. I feel unimportant. Again, different conversation. When you don't label it, you just throw anger everywhere like a broken sprinkler. Then later you're apologizing for how you said it when the real problem was never addressed. And yes, sometimes the label is uncomfortable. Sometimes the label is, this reminds me of being talked down to as a kid. Sometimes it's, I'm insecure about this. Most people don't want to admit that, so they just get mad and call it standing up for myself, which is why they keep losing control in the same situations with different people. Different face, same script. That's not bad luck, that's a pattern. Move 3. Choose your response. So you pause for 10 seconds, then you label what's really happening. And then you do the third move, which is where everything clicks. You choose the right response based on who you're dealing with, because not everyone deserves the same version of you. And if you treat every annoying person like they're a serious threat, you're going to live your life exhausted. So here's the simple truth. There are basically 3 types of people who trigger you. There's the random baiter, there's the person you actually have to deal with, and there's the repeat offender who proves over and over that they don't respect you. Each one gets a different response, and if you pick the right one, it feels unfair, in a good way. Response type 1, the random baiter. Let's start with the random baiter. This is the person who wants a reaction for sport. They want drama, they want sparks, they want you to engage. This is where you become boring on purpose. This is where you use the gray rock vibe without turning into a robot. You don't explain, you don't justify, you don't defend. You give them nothing to grab. You hit them with a calm, okay, or maybe, or that's one way to see it, and you stop. No extra details, no emotional spice, no long paragraph that they can twist into a new argument. Because some people don't want resolution, they want a show. And the moment you stop performing, the show dies. You'll notice something funny when you do this. They often escalate. They'll say something sharper. They'll push harder, because they're trying to get the reaction back. That's your proof it was never about the topic. It was about control. So you stay boring. Not cold, not rude, just unavailable for nonsense. Save your depth for people who can handle it. Everybody else gets the personality of a spreadsheet. Response type 2, the necessary evil. Now the second type is different. This is someone you still have to deal with. Coworker, family, someone in your life where you can't just vanish. With these people, being boring isn't always enough, because they'll keep testing. So your move here is a calm boundary. And I need you to hear this part. A boundary is not a speech. A boundary is one sentence. The more you explain, the more you invite debate. So instead of trying to win, you just state the rule, calmly. No, don't talk to me like that. We can talk when it's respectful. I'm not doing this in front of everyone. And then you stop. You don't argue about the boundary. You don't defend the boundary. You don't convince them you're allowed to have one. You just let it sit there. This is where the 10 seconds pays off again. Because if you say that boundary while you're emotional, it comes out messy. It turns into sarcasm. It turns into shouting. It turns into you sounding like the bad guy. But if you pause, label what you're feeling, then set the boundary, it comes out clean. And clean boundaries are scary to people who rely on chaos, because there's nothing to twist. Response type 3, the repeat offender. Now the third type is the one nobody wants to admit, the repeat offender. The person who ignores boundaries, the person who keeps poking, the person who only respects you when you're angry, which isn't respect at all. That's fear. And with these people, the strongest move is distance. Not a dramatic exit, not a scene, not a big goodbye speech, just less access. You start leaving conversations early. You stop responding quickly. You stop giving them front row seats to your emotions. Sometimes you literally just say, I'm going to step out, and you go do something else. And yes, part of you will want to stay and prove something. But prove what? That you can survive in a disrespectful environment? Congratulations, that's not a flex. Walking away quietly is one of the most disrespectful things you can do to a disrespectful person, because it tells them you're not important enough to fight. And that's the whole point. The ultimate goal isn't to win arguments. It's to stop letting your peace be held hostage by people who are bored with their own life. The twist. Now here's the twist that makes all of this way easier. Most insults aren't actually about you. They're confessions. People speak from what's inside them. So when someone mocks you for being quiet, they might be admitting they can't sit with themselves for 10 seconds without panicking. When someone disrespects you in public, they might be showing you they need an audience to feel powerful. When someone constantly tries to humble you, they're usually haunted by their own insecurity. That doesn't mean you tolerate it. It just means you stop taking it personally. Because once you see it as a confession, you stop treating it like a threat. And threats are what trigger reactions. So let's pull it all together. Next time you feel that surge, that react right now feeling, you remember the tax. If you react instantly, you pay later. So you buy 10 seconds. Then you label the real feeling underneath the anger. Then you pick the right move. Boring for baiters, boundary for people you have to deal with, distance for repeat offenders. Pretty simple, actually. And I'll be honest with you. The first time you do this, it's going to feel unnatural. Because your old version of you is addicted to reacting. Reacting feels powerful in the moment. It feels like control. But it's fake control. If you're here for more stuff like this, subscribe.